Two fragile puppies huddled on the roadside, trembling but refusing to let go of each other. People stopped, filming the heartbreaking sight, yet no one was prepared for what happened next. What those strangers witnessed would spread across the world and leave hearts forever changed. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The morning was quiet, but on a deserted roadside, two tiny figures huddled together. A black puppy and a golden one sat trembling on the cold concrete. Their fragile bodies pressed so tightly against each other it looked as if they were one. Their small whimpers broke the silence. Passers-by slowed down, unsure of what they were witnessing. The black puppy wrapped its paw protectively around the golden one, who buried its face into his sibling's fur. Their eyes were wet, shimmering, as though they had been crying. It was a heartbreaking picture of fear and innocence. Most stray dogs wandered aimlessly, but these two didn't move. They clung to each other, refusing to let go, as if separation meant the end. For anyone who saw them, the sight was impossible to ignore. In that fragile embrace, the world saw not just puppies, but survivors desperately holding on. A middle-aged man carrying groceries was the first to stop. He noticed the trembling pair and set his bags down slowly, afraid any sudden move might scare them away. His heart tightened at the sight. Their tiny bodies pressed so close, it looked as if fear itself had glued them together. He knelt carefully, stretching out a hand. But the moment his fingers inched closer, the golden puppy whimpered and hid its face, while the black one pressed tighter, eyes wide with mistrust. They clung so fiercely that the man hesitated, realizing they weren't just frightened, they were terrified of losing each other. Other pedestrians paused, curious about what had captured his attention. Whispers began to ripple through the growing crowd. "Why won't they let go?" someone asked softly. The man could only shake his head. Whatever these puppies had endured, it was clear they had survived by holding on together. Within minutes, more people began to gather. Commuters slowed their steps, parents lifted their children higher to see, and drivers even pulled over, unable to resist the heartbreaking sight. Two helpless puppies, trembling yet refusing to separate, had turned an ordinary street into a scene of hushed disbelief. Several bystanders pulled out their phones, capturing video after video. Gasps echoed through the crowd as the puppies tightened their embrace whenever anyone stepped too close. Their small, tear-streaked faces seemed to carry more emotion than words ever could. Children tugged at their parents' sleeves, begging, "Can we take them home?" The crowd's curiosity grew heavier, shifting quickly into compassion. These weren't just stray puppies. They were survivors clinging to the only comfort they knew, each other. Every witness felt it deep inside. Something unforgettable was unfolding before their eyes, and no one wanted to look away. As the crowd leaned closer, the black puppy suddenly let out a low growl, tiny but determined. His little body tensed, ears pressed back, as if daring anyone to touch his sibling. The golden puppy whimpered softly, pressing deeper into his brother's fur, trembling but refusing to pull away. The people watching fell silent. It was strange, such small creatures showing such fierce protectiveness. They weren't simply frightened strays. They acted like soldiers guarding one another, refusing to surrender. Their tiny bodies carried a weight of survival that most couldn't begin to understand. Every attempt to separate them was met with panic. When someone stepped forward, the black puppy barked, his voice cracking with fear. The golden one shook harder, tears welling in its eyes. Together, they created a picture of desperation so raw that many in the crowd turned away, hearts aching at the sight. From the back of the crowd, a woman stepped forward. Her eyes glistened with compassion as she crouched low, speaking in a gentle voice. "It's okay, little ones, no one will hurt you." Unlike the others, she didn't rush. She simply stayed still, letting her presence calm the frightened pair. Slowly, she extended her hand, palm open and steady. The black puppy tensed, his growl barely audible, but the golden one lifted its nose slightly, sniffing the air. Still, they refused to break their embrace, trembling yet clinging tighter, as though separation meant danger. The woman's heart ached at the sight. Minutes passed in fragile silence. Finally, the black puppy inched forward, sniffing her fingers while keeping one paw wrapped protectively around his sibling. The golden one followed timidly, eyes wide with fear. The crowd held its breath. For the first time, trust flickered between survivors and a stranger's gentle hand. With slow, deliberate movements, the woman reached out again. This time, instead of pulling back, the puppies allowed her to touch their fur. They whimpered softly but didn't resist. Their only condition was clear: they would not be separated. She carefully slid her arms beneath them, lifting both together. The puppies squirmed for a moment, paws clutching each other even tighter. Their tiny bodies shook, but as long as they remained pressed side by side, they didn't struggle. The woman held them close, whispering soothing words, her voice carrying more comfort than anyone expected. The crowd exhaled collectively, hearts aching at the fragile trust unfolding before them. Phones lowered, and whispers faded into silence. Everyone knew they had witnessed something extraordinary: survival bound by love. Cradled in the stranger's arms, the two puppies finally stopped trembling. They weren't alone anymore, and for the first time, hope felt possible. The woman carried the puppies straight to the nearest animal shelter, refusing to let them out of her arms. Staff members rushed over, prepared to separate and examine them. But when they tried, the puppies whimpered in panic, clutching each other so tightly that even professionals paused in surprise. "They won't let go," one volunteer whispered, eyes wide. The staff exchanged glances, realizing they had never seen anything quite like it. Even when food bowls were placed in front of them, the puppies crawled together, eating side by side, their paws still entwined as if separation would break them. Veterinarians examined them carefully, checking for injuries or illness. Aside from malnourishment and fatigue, both were healthy. Yet it was their behavior that stunned everyone. Their bond wasn't ordinary. As word spread through the shelter, people gathered to witness the inseparable pair, each heart touched by their desperate devotion. A senior vet stepped forward, studying the puppies closely. "They're siblings," she said softly, her voice filled with certainty, "most likely abandoned together and clinging to each other for survival." The room fell silent as the truth settled in. Their desperate embrace wasn't random. It was the only family they had left. To comfort themselves, the puppies had turned their fear into strength, holding each other against a world that had already been cruel. The staff watched with tears in their eyes, realizing this bond was deeper than instinct. It was love forged in hardship. News of their story spread quickly after a shelter worker posted a video online. Within hours, comments poured in, viewers from around the world moved to tears. People wrote, "Don't separate them, and they must stay together." The bond between the puppies had touched hearts everywhere, proving some connections are simply unbreakable. Applications flooded the shelter within days, but every family who inquired heard the same condition: the puppies could only be adopted. Together, dozens admired them, yet many hesitated, unsure if they could take on two lives at once. The staff worried, what if no one was willing? Then, a kind couple walked through the doors. They knelt in front of the siblings, their eyes soft with love. "We'll take them both," the woman said without hesitation. Her voice carried the certainty everyone had been waiting for. The staff exchanged smiles, relief washing over them. Like sunlight. On adoption day, tears filled the shelter. Volunteers who had fed and comforted the pups now watched them wag their tiny tails, still pressed side by side. As paperwork was signed, the crowd cheered quietly. Two abandoned souls had found their forever home, and they would never face the world alone again. The puppies settled into their new home as though they had always belonged there. A cozy bed was placed in the corner, but instead of sprawling apart, they curled into the same tiny ball, paws intertwined, breathing in unison. Their bond remained unshakable. Love was their comfort, safety, and strength. Each day, the couple marveled at the way the siblings grew braver together. The golden one, once timid, now played freely, knowing her brother was always nearby. The black puppy, once guarded, relaxed at last, his watchful eyes softening. Together, they transformed fear into joy, reminding everyone what resilience looked like.